Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are all welcome to our program today from Initiative for Education and Development. Today, we want to look at effective remote learning program, particularly for children living with disability and children living in vulnerable communities. You will agree with me that since March and beginning of April, our children have stayed at home due to the lockdown and the closure of school due to the COVID-19. And this is causing a lot of issues on our children. Now, not many of these children, particularly those in this vulnerable communities, so some parents can afford online activity, particularly not many these vulnerable communities can afford this online program. It is either parents do not have access to internet connectivity, or they don't have good phones, or they don't have laptops, and therefore it is practically impossible for their children to have access to all these online activities. We've seen instances where a lot of our teachers are doing tremendous efforts to ensuring that these children can have access to these resources and to all these facilities. However, due to the fact that many of these children in poor and vulnerable environments cannot have access to these facilities, out of their assignments. Therefore, they are missing out a lot of the academic activities for this particular period. And this is why we want to look at this issue. Initiative for Education and Development is a non-governmental organization that is particularly interested in educational programs. Initiative for Education and Development is supporting children in poor and vulnerable communities to have access to education, to be able to improve their literacy program. There are activities called reading, Read Early to Advanced Development in Nigeria. There are projects called Making Future Female Scientists. There are projects supporting girls, particularly girls in difficult environments, girls in internally displaced camps, girls affected by conflicts. So these are the set of people that this organization is supporting. And that is why we are particular about this program. Even though a lot of organizations are doing online activities. However, how do we cater for children in this vulnerable environment? So with me today, we have as panelists Mr. Soji Megbon. Soji Megbon is an international award winner. He's a teacher that has contributed a lot to educational development in Nigeria. He works from Lagos, but he's reaching all children around the world through his entrepreneurship program, trying to develop science, technology, engineering, and mathematics for children in low-income communities. We also have another award-winning teacher, educator, instructor, facilitator, Mr. Olalekan Adeeko. Olalekan Adeeko is also an award-winning teacher. He has won many awards. He has taught many children. He has supported many educators in Nigeria. In fact, he had made sure that no teacher is left behind in terms of EdTech. He's a specialist in EdTech and also is a Microsoft certified teacher. So please help me welcome Olalekan Adeeko to our discussion today. Also in our midst today, we have Mr. Tajuddin Odufeso. Tajuddin Odufeso is also another educator who is doing tremendously well, supporting children, supporting educators, supporting instructors, supporting teachers so that they can also use online remote learning activity to reach their children. So help me welcome Mr. Tajuddin Odufeso into our studio today. Also with us today, we have a powerful lady in our midst, an award-winning educator. In fact, she just won an award in Lagos. She's one of the very few women around the world that is using this opportunity to supporting children. She has single-handedly started her education classes, particularly English language, on Facebook. Single-handedly doing this from Mondays to Saturdays since we started this lockdown. And I'm sure that a lot of families, a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, including myself, including other parents in Nigeria, and also the Ministry of Education and States Universal Education Board had recognized the activity of Madam Fauziya Adegeye. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Madam Fauziya Adegeye to our studio today. So thank you so much. Today is a special day in the life of our children. Today is Children's Day, 2020 Children's Day. And that is why we want to celebrate with our children. We also want to send a message to our policymakers that it is important that we look at all children. If we look at the SDG 4, it says that education for all. It did say that education for children, if anybody is in the country, everybody should have access to quality education, irrespective of emergencies, irrespective of epidemics, irrespective of whatever issue. Everyone, every child, irrespective of the age, of the status, of the location, of the income of parents, all children should have access to quality education. And this is why we are taking this up today, to making sure that we can send some signals, we can speak to our policymakers, we can speak to our fellow teachers, we can speak to parents, that we all have that responsibility to supporting these children. If the teachers are ready to providing these facilities, to providing the lesson notes, how do they get it? How do they get the lesson plan to these children? So this is why it is also important that we get the support of our telecommunication providers to look into this issue, particularly at this pandemic, to see how teachers and parents can have access to internet facilities so that we can support our children in vulnerable communities. Now, research and statistics from when this issue started shows that around 90% of the children around the world have been confined to their homes in April, in late March and in April. This was a report from the World Bank. All these children have been home, except the ones that their parents can afford online learning, e-learning of whichever sorts. Many of these children in vulnerable environments cannot afford these online learning programs. Initiative for Education and Development on its own part is playing a part to ensuring that we can promote this. With the support of our educators and some of our donors and some of our partners, we are supporting children in IDP camps in Borno, children in riverine communities of Ogun Waterside, children in slum communities of Abuja. And we hope that with more resources, we can help more children to access this online education program. And that's why we are here today. So thank you everyone that is watching other areas around the world. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that we will participate. So now let's go to our panelists and hear their opening remarks. Each of them have got 5 minutes to tell us about what is known as effective remote learning approaches. What's their understanding of at what point is it effective? Let us start with Mr. Adeko. Mr. Adeko.
Good evening, Mr. Abbas and everybody out there. It's a privilege for me to be on with you this evening. It's a good thing that Mr. Abbas has been doing. It's funny that we've been working together for years and we've not actually met physically. We've always been having conversation via WhatsApp or Facebook or on mobile phone. But I know of a lot of work that is put in as regards contributing to the development of education in Nigeria. So I'm happy to be here with all of you from wherever you're joining in this evening to share with you, to also learn from you, because I love to learn, and anybody that stopped learning, it's old, whether at 20 or at 70. So as regards remote learning or e-learning, I want to share with us that when we say e-learning, it's quite different from when we say remote learning. E-learning itself is more robust. It's not an afterthought. It's something that we've sat down, we've developed the curriculum, we've developed the assessment, you've developed everything. So you are strategic, you have everything planned from the onset. But what we're having at the moment all around the world is often referred to as remote learning, which is education in emergency. That's basically what everybody is doing now, education in emergency. Unlike in some other clime, probably they already have a ball in motion as regards blended learning and a form of e-learning. But to many of us here in this part of the world, what we're doing now is education in emergency, trying to fill in the gap while our students are at home. So, and we still need to continue to relate with them. So what makes a very good remote learning approach or a remote learning platform? Before we can decide on the particular remote learning platform or approach that we want to adopt, we need to ask ourselves certain questions. And I'm happy with the introduction given by Mr. Abbas. He highlighted it. Are we targeting students in rural area? Are we targeting students in the urban area, students with access to the best tech in this world? Or are we talking about students with limited access to the internet, with limited access to devices? Are we talking about students with learning difficulties? Are we talking about students with any form of physical disabilities? Maybe they need to use hearing aids, they need to be, they have sight problem and all that. So when we are trying to decide on a particular approach we want to adopt, we need to ask ourselves these questions. What do I really want to achieve? Do I want this to just fill in the gap for a while? Or do I want to continue with my normal school teaching so that once COVID-19 has gone down a little bit and lockdown lifted, then I will just continue with what I've been doing? Or we are just filling in so that the kids will not just be at home doing nothing. We just want to continue to teach them. So we must highlight our goals. We need to be sure of what goals are we actually aiming at. Then what technology do we need to adopt? That is very, very key. Because when we are saying we want to reach out to our students and there is social distancing, we can't move, gather, pull people together in a room. You can't have more than 20 according to government and the law. And WHO is saying a whole lot of things about social distancing. So if we really want to work within the space and still want to ensure that we reach out to all the students, then we must address the question as regards the type of technology to adopt. And the type of technology to adopt should not just be because as a teacher, I've got that technology, so I know how to use it and I want to deploy it. We must look at our students. What access do my students have? What access? Do they have gadgets? Are they living in the cities? Do they have data to play with, to learn with? Do they have their own personal devices? Do they have computer systems? Do they have mobile phone? Or do they have television sets? Do they have radio? So we need to ask ourselves about the kind of access that our students have. That is very, very key because we want to reach our students. We want to ensure that they are not left behind. We want to ensure that we plug into the SDG 4, which talks about equitable and inclusive education. We want to plug in. We want to ensure that nobody is left behind. So the question regarding technology to adopt is very, very key. It's very, very key. It can make or mar the entire process. Then we want to ask ourselves again, do we want it to be real time or we want it to be self-paced? Real time in the sense that what we're doing now is real time, and at the same time, people that couldn't join this can as well go back to IDU Facebook page and still rewatch the video. So in our own case, we want to ask ourselves, do we want the learning to be synchronous or do we want it to be asynchronous? Meaning, do I want to just leave out or dish out the content to my students and have them latch on things anytime they are online so that they can go over whatever I must have put on the platform? Or do I want a situation whereby they must be on the platform the same time I am on the platform? So that question also is key. Do we want it to be fully online or do we want them to just come in for a few minutes, grab the content, work on the content offline, then come online for a few minutes to probably do the assignments and submit their own work? Do we want it to be self-paced or class-paced? Class-paced in the sense that we want everybody that will pull together in a group to continue to learn at the same pace. So meaning we want to dish out weekly notes for them or weekly content so that they can learn at the same time. Or do we want to just put everything out there for anybody to go there and have access to the content? So these are lists of things that we need to ask ourselves. Do we want the students to be able to see us, the teachers? Do we want them to be able to see themselves? Do we want them to just go to the platform and read or listen? Or do we want them to be able to give feedback too? So all these are essential. So I will zero in on the tech so that we'll be able to look at the tech that can reach the larger number of people. I'll put the categories into three: the first tier, the second tier, and the third tier. First tier has to do with the use of the mass media that we know, television, radio, and what have you. Maybe many people do not have access to television. Many people do not have access to devices like mobile phone or tablet. Okay, we feel majority of people have access to radio. Do I need to leverage on radio to continue to teach my students? Because I believe many people, at least to an extent, they have access to radio. And on radio too, it has limitation because it will be difficult for me to teach mathematics, physics, and some other subjects effectively on radio. So you want to consider that as well. Do I want to go on TV? Maybe I want them to read or view a particular lesson that is being recorded over time and play it on TV for them. That's first tier. The second tier, we're talking about data this time around. You want to put it online because there's no way we can shy away from online when we're talking about remote or e-learning. Because the reason why we are even doing this in the first place is because the schools are closed. And we cannot just go out there and say we want to move to the schools or want to move students together in a room and continue to teach them. So what options do we have? A lot of time, people have been coming up with valid excuses in quotes to that. Yes, there's no power, there's no data, there's no internet. But in this particular situation we find ourselves, we must need to sit down and say, what can we do? How can we make it work? I often tell people that enough of coming up with excuses like there's no power, there's no data, there's no internet, there's no TV, there's no radio. You don't have access to all this. Then what do we need to do in the interim? That is where all of us need to come in. And I'm happy with what Mr. Soji is doing in Lagos, giving out free data to students. That's something. So students are complaining they don't have data, but somebody is out there trying to give out data to you so that you can still have access to this. That's cool. I've got friends that have devoted themselves to move around communities. Yes, even with social distancing. They ensure that they mask themselves, they use their nose mask, they ensure that the students wash their hands, and they space themselves while sitting under the tree in a rural environment to still ensure that they teach our students. So people are moving, are trying to do something. So the parents out there, the policymakers, as a roundup, the policymakers and the parents also should be ready to play their own role in supporting what people out there are doing. I love what the Mrs. Odufes, or I'm not sure I got her right, what she's doing on Facebook. I've been on this page to even watch. So if somebody is doing that, then the parent also or the people around can support by ensuring that students around have access to all this. People with data can download the lessons, and even share around their local community, but while trying so much to still protect themselves. So I will just stop here. I think my 5 minutes is gone so that I'll listen to other people and learn from other people as well. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Lalekon Adeko, thanks so much. It's always been a pleasure listening to you every time. And that gives me the hope that we still have very young educators in Nigeria that are going to take this issue forward. Thank you so much. Now, let's move on to Mr. Soji Megbon. Mr. Soji Megbon, for those of you who doesn't know, this is one of our best in the country. He's one of the best 50 teachers in the world. One of the best 50 teachers out of the million teachers in the world. We are very proud of you. So now, let's listen to you, please. Effective remote learning, effective online education, effective education in emergency, effective education in this COVID-19 pandemic period.
Thank you very much, my wonderful brothers and boss, Mr. Kabiru, for having me. It's a great honor to be here, and I also appreciate everyone that is involved in this conversation, and I must appreciate everyone who also joined us live from every part of from across the world. I must say that the topic of today is one of the major issues that we need to discuss in our days, and we must also try to consider, because when we look at effective remote learning approaches for children in vulnerable communities. The vulnerable community there is talking about students who wish to have, but they are not privileged to have. This case is not by destiny. They are just not opportune to have the resources. They are not opportune to have the gadgets. They are not opportune to live in the city. But that is the call of the call of destiny at that time. And when we are developing our content as teachers, we must also have them in mind, because we never can tell. If you look at the history of the country today, the numbers of presidents we have, the higher percentage of them come from the north. And it's not because these guys, it's not because they were born with silver spoon. It's just because they were opportune to have that privilege of becoming the president. So the little guy we see in the community, in that poor community today, the little child we see in that very remote community today, that child can still become a president. So we must also have them. We must constantly having them in mind. And whenever we're developing our content, wherever we're developing our models, wherever we're teaching out our content, we must have them in mind, bearing in mind that this guy one day will become a president. So I must give him the right tools to lead right, because obviously whatever we do today, we have either positive or negative impact in the future we're waiting to have. And I must say that my opening remark today is keep it simple and flexible. Keep it simple and flexible. And if we look at it from that point, like Ade correctly said, we look at different approaches that teacher can use to reach out to students. But as far as I'm concerned, I realize that as teacher, we must constantly keeping our content simple and flexible in the sense that as much as I'm developing content for students in Lagos, for students that lives in VI and Surulere, I must have those that live in Alimosho, Ayobo in mind. As much as I've developed a content on mobile devices or online or on TV, having the students in Abeokuta in mind, I must also be thinking of students that live in Oriade local government. As much as I'm dishing out content, for students that reside in the city of Ibadan, I must be thinking of students that live in a community called Igbora. So if we have this mindset, if we have this conversation and this thinking in mind, we'll be able to keep our content flexible and simple, so that we are not just focusing on the little that we have, on the little kids that we have, the 20 kids that we have. Amidst all the call, we realize that e-learning is a very powerful tool. It has capacity to reach millions of students. If only our government, if only our leaders want to take it right. We realize that e-learning is a very powerful tool. It can reach millions at a time. So for us as teachers that are taking advantage of these tools, that are taking advantage of these new skills in this period of pandemic and in the new normal that we're in, we must also be having these guys in mind, those that live in the poor community, so that we can keep the content simple, we can keep it flexible for them. Flexible in the sense that if you look at what the Lagos State government is doing currently, having content on television, having content on radio, these are amazing opportunity and an amazing platform. If you look at what my sister, my colleague here in Lagos is doing on Facebook every day, teaching the primary school student on content, on different content, it's an amazing. If you look at what Adeoka is doing with the government of Ogun State, developing content for students in both urban and rural communities to have access to the TV and radio, is another amazing. So, but the question is that, is this platform enough? Have we explored all the platform? The answer is no. There are more than 1 million platforms that we can deploy. As much as we are developing content for radio, as much as we are developing content for TV, as much as we are developing content for using the Zoom platform, using the Microsoft platform, using the Google platform, we must ensure that we also leverage on the hard copy model, because, like I said, I advised some teachers recently. I told them there's a tool that we call a Dropbox. It's very efficient for students that live in the poor communities. What the teacher does is just simple: do the activities on a sheet of plain paper, make photocopy of it, drop it to the child on Monday. On Wednesday, return there to collect for marking and return another new copy for him. So this is efficient. It is cheap to implement. It does not require internet. It does not require electricity, because we know the Nigeria we are. Obviously, we have challenges with electricity. So we must develop different content for using different approaches in such a way that we're keeping the poor in mind. We're also keeping the rich in mind. We're keeping, like Adeoka said, we're keeping the guy who can see clearly in mind. At the moment, we're not even thinking of them. We must also ensure that we're keeping the guy who cannot hear clearly in mind. At the moment, we're not even thinking of them. I doubt if we have a system that is taking care of these guys. And these are part of the citizen. We must ensure that we keep them in mind in developing our solutions, so that we can have everybody on board. Because the reality of SG4 is it's not just education for one person. It is quality education for all, quality and sustainable education for all, that we give lifelong skills for the future generation, for the future leaders. So we're not just developing this content, having it in mind that, okay, just for the student that I have in my class, or just for the student that are able to access the internet, or those that are able to access the device. As much as we have as educators, I want to also play that there's a lot in our hands that we can give. A lot in our hands. We have some of us that have multiple devices that we're doing nothing with. Why don't we give the second device to a child in that community who don't have one, so that he can have access to learning? As much as we have television in our home, and there's a child somewhere in Igbora who doesn't have, and you are there as a teacher, why don't you sacrifice that simple device and give to that child, so that I can have access to the content Adeoka is releasing from Ogun State, so that I can have access to the content that the Lagos State government is releasing in Lagos State. So this is the best time for us to help ourselves. We are not waiting for any international organization to come and help us. We are not waiting for any foreigners to come and help us. We must develop our own local solution to solve our own local problems. And that is my point. This is the right point. The right opportunity that COVID-19 presented to us is for us to develop our own local solution to solve our local problems. And I must say that, like what we're having today, effective remote learning approaches for children in the vulnerable, I want to believe that obviously that this is one of the best, topics that we need to, one of the best topics that stakeholders in within education must try to see, and adopt in different agencies or in different platforms, so that we can always have in mind the vulnerable kids who don't have access. We must have them in mind, because if you look at the number of students we have in public school, they are 100% higher than those that we have in private school. Why? Population, because in most of the public school education is free. And these are the students these are the vulnerable students we're talking about. They are mostly found in the public school. They are mostly found in the local private school, that they are helpless. They need somebody to help them. They need somebody to give them devices. They need somebody to give them data. They need a teacher somewhere from Ogun State, from Lagos, from Badagry, from Abuja to release content for them so that they can learn even during this pandemic. And like Adeoko said, remote learning in its sense is not e-learning. They are different things. I don't want to to bother myself on that concept again, because I don't justice to it. And I must also try to add that in this period, remote learning has come to stay, e-learning has come to stay, and the new normal is here, and we must move with it. Thank you very much for having me.
These guys, they are my world best. These are the best teachers in the world. You can't get them easily like that. And I can tell you that these guys are the hope of this country. They are the future of this country. I hope and I wish that our ministers of education, either at senior minister or junior minister, our commissioners for education, our superb chairpersons, need to go look for these guys. They should get the Soji Megbons. They should get the Adekos. They should get the Madam Fosiat to help us to reform this structure and the system in our education sector. And it is important that we look back to what both Soji and Adeko have said. Quality and inclusive education for all. It doesn't say children in Ikeja. It also says children in Apapa, in Makoko, in Ijora, in Olopa, wherever they are. Children in Chudunwada slum community. Children in IDP camps, wherever children are, irrespective of their status, ethnic identities, background, they too must have access to inclusive education. Soji has also thrown one challenge to all of us. You are there, you are carrying 2, 3, 4 devices, 2, 3, 4 laptops, 2, 3 Android phones. That child is in Makoko, he doesn't have access to education. He needs it now. Why can't you drop that for that child? Look out for that child and support that child. There are many teachers who want to do many things, but they too don't have good Android phones. Why don't you see how you can support this? If you are willing to supporting this, please reach out to us. Reach out to Soji, reach out to Adeko, reach out to Madam Fosia. We all have organizations that can use our internal processes and procedure to ensuring that we can support more children. Now, let's move on. Let's move on to the lady, Madam Adegeye, who has been doing tremendously well, to the extent that the Lagos State Suburb had recognized her and awarded her 2 weeks ago from what she has done. So, Madam, thank you so much for coming. Tell us, what is effective remote learning? What is effective e-learning for children in those vulnerable communities? I'm sure when you selected Facebook as your channel, you know that irrespective where there are connectivity, children are going to learn there. I want to tell you that you are doing a great work. The children in Abuja slum communities are telling us that you are reaching their homes. The children in Ogun local government are telling us that you are reaching their home. The children in Makoko community of Lagos are telling us that you are reaching their home. Even children in IDP camps in Borno, you are reaching them. So tell us, Madam, in your opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Abbas. It's a great privilege and honor to be in your midst. I recognize the presence of my able and capable colleagues on the house. Nice to be in your midst. My name is Fauzia Adegeye. I'm a public school teacher. I teach with Lagos State SUBEB. I teach in a public primary school. Well, no, I don't need to define what remote learning is anymore. My colleagues have done justice to that, though it's just an alternative presently. It's an alternative to the normal traditional classroom setting. Remote learning has been in existence before now. E-learning has been in existence before now. People engage in e-learning to acquire certain certificates or a course to have access to certain courses or the other. But due to the present situation brought upon us by the COVID-19 pandemic, people still looking towards the area of e-learning, remote learning to cater or to cater for the pupils of our learners during this stay-at-home ages. So presently, we all know that e-learning cannot be a means in itself for the system of education that we operate in the country, but presently is an alternative which is helping us to connect with our children, with our learners in their various environments. Now, as my colleagues have earlier said, we know there are lots of disadvantages to the remote learning. The disadvantages there is that, and even before we look into the vulnerables, the slum, the riverine area, even the present one, those that have access to it, are they really getting the best out of it? We have the problem of a lack of motivation. We have distractions here and there. We have the problem of not easy to understand the content. I'm saying this because I go through this every day. Today, I was trying to explain a particular topic to the pupils, and it took me a long time, longer than necessary if it were in the normal classroom setting, to explain. Some pupils were like, I don't understand. But because there are some physical things that we have to do together to make them understand, which we cannot do, they just have to rely on my own explanation alone to get things done. I couldn't ask them questions easily and hear their own contribution. We have the problem of a lack of early feedback. You can't get feedback immediately, knowing whether the lesson has been taught, whether the objective has been achieved. You can't say that immediately. You just have to rely on the fact that, well, you've delivered your lesson and just hope these pupils get it. That is the one. Then we're now talking about vulnerable children without access to internet, without access to facilities that we're using to, take these remote lessons. Well, at this junction, I just say that everybody is involved. Everybody should be involved, the parents, the stakeholders, even the community leaders. Everyone has a role to play in this. We can't leave everything to the government. As far as I'm concerned, in Lagos State, forget about the fact that I work for Lagos State. Lagos State government has really done a lot. We have the television programs, LTV8, and the present situation in our country. As far as I know in Lagos, I can just talk about Lagos. Hardly will you see a community without television. I think that is in the olden days that we say, okay, all of these communities, there's no television sets. Hardly will you find such thing now. So we have television sets. Fine, there's a problem of electricity supply. Of course, yes, we have television sets. We are aware that there are programs on TV sets, but we don't even have electricity supply. How do we access it? Fine. There are radio programs. There are radio programs that are coming on air every day. And not just like I told the parents, when we talk about teachers, we talk about the policy makers, the government, what happens to parents also? Some parents are not ready to take responsibility. That is just the fact. Because it's one thing to make, to prepare food for someone, to set the table for the person, and the person is still waiting for you to feed him or her. We have radios, and I don't know if anyone can tell me at this present day that they cannot have access to radio, even if it is the radio on your touchlight phone. Because I had an experience with a parent recently, and that's why I'm saying this. I told the parents, oh, are you aware of all the television programs and the radio programs? He said, yes, we are aware, but even the television, there will not be electricity supply. I thought, okay, what about radio? Oh, well, what about radio? Radio too, we need electricity to power it. I said, you need electricity? What is that you are holding? She said, it's a phone. Okay. Don't you have a radio set on the phone? Yeah, I have a radio set, but I can't give my phone to my child. What if my child spoils the phone? And you were like, what if your child spoils the phone? So you were so particular about the child not spoiling the phone. You can't guide the child and allow the child to learn. Because yes, as much as you have a means of charging your phone to receive calls, you can as well use that phone for the purpose of learning for your child. But many of those parents are not ready to take. We have radios that use batteries. We have those that even use solar that you just have to put under the sun for some hours and you have access. My children also use this all the time. They don't rely, because I take on my Facebook page, I take each class once in a week. So that once in a week cannot be enough for them. So they only attend my class when it is their own class. They join me when it's just their own class day. The one in primary 1 will join me on Monday, the one in primary 4 will join me only on Thursday. Other days, I give them my phone to listen to the radio. So we all, at this junction, we all teachers. Parents should be ready to take responsibilities. Stakeholders should be ready to take. I remember in the olden days, when we want to watch, listen to ball, there were no TVs then, but people want to listen to the football commentation. I mean, as a strolling on it, you see one community leader will bring out his radio, put it somewhere where everybody will have access to it. Why can't community leaders do that now? Those remote areas, you're talking about the riverine areas, you're talking about what happened to the community leaders there that cannot bring out radio and put it in a strategic place for children to listen to. There are many ways, there are various ways by which we can reach these children, but it's not easy for everybody, for a parent to be moving, a teacher, to go from one child's house to the other, saying you want to hand out a lesson. For instance, it might be easy in a private school where you have a sizable number of pupils. Imagine in my class, I have 98 pupils. And somebody will expect me to write and make 98 photocopies and start going from one house to the other. And these are pupils that are not even living anywhere close to me. So for me to even get to my own place of work, I spend 600 naira on a daily basis. Then to not start looking for their houses one at a time, that will not be easy. I think there are other ways. So some of these ways, the television is there for everyone to see. The radio programs are there. Parents should be up and doing. They should be responsible and responsive. Okay, this is a situation that we have found ourselves. Nobody prayed for it. It's nobody's fault. Not government's fault, not our own fault. Even those of us that teachers staying at home, some of us are not comfortable with it. And that's why I had to start the Facebook program. When I started, one of the parents, one of my friends on Facebook made a comment that, do you think you can reach out to many? What about those children whose parents don't even have a phone, not to talk of being on Facebook? I said, I know. I can't reach out to many. And I won't say because I can't reach out to many, I should not reach out to any. Yes, I may not be able to cover all, but I will do my own part. If I can reach out to like 300 learners daily, and someone else in another area is doing his or own and reaching out to like 200 or 300, together we all cover up. So everybody needs to be proactive. Every one of us needs to take responsibility. Let's see how we can manage our own environment, our own community. Let's see what we can do to this for these children to continue learning. Fine, this cannot be a total access. For instance, I take only English. In a normal school setting, we have about 10 subjects. And if I'm taking only English, it's just on 1% or 10 over 100 of what we're supposed to be doing. But that is something that is going in a long way. If any other person can also take that up and say, okay, if you are taking English, let me take mathematics. Another person take, okay, I'll take science. If you put our hands on deck, these children will be taken care of for this period of time until the time lapses. And I know that some of us are really doing what we know how to do. We're doing it, and we're doing it to the best of our own knowledge. But the government still needs to work harder on that, and our community leaders should also stand up. They should not. I know there are some communities where the leaders are distributing food, where they are giving some palliative to people, but none of them is thinking towards their education. It's not what an individual can do. If we ask someone that is buoyant enough, can call some teachers and let them present their teaching and burn it into the CD. If you burn it in CD, instead of distributing face masks, why not, let's see, a chairman of a local government sponsor the program. Let's call some teachers and let them present their classes, burn it into CD and distribute. When you distribute, there's no way in a compound, say a building, that one person will not have a DVD player. So you go into the DVD, they can be distributed among these pupils. They listen to it. It could be something that will cover a term, subject per time. Maybe I'll be given the responsibility to take care of English from first week to 10th week of the term. Another person take care of mathematics, and they distribute this to the children. The children listen to, and it will work fine. We might not be able to get feedback, but something is keeping them busy. So there are a lot of ways that we can keep these children busy. And for the people living with a disability, this is the responsibility of the government and teachers that they have special teachers that take care of them. And the teachers who have to come up, and government too has to think of something to do to help these children. So we have a lot to do, because we found ourselves in it by an emergency situation. It's not like we plan for it. In the foreign countries where these things are being in existence since, they don't find it so difficult. They know how to, get across to all their children, and it's been so easy for them. But here, it's just an emergency thing. It's just something we have to use to take care of our immediate need now. And I'm sure most of us, I for one, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue the class after the pandemic. Even if I'm going to continue, it will not be a daily video like this. So it's just a mix to an end presently, but to an extent, everyone is trying is our best to keep the children busy, but parents should be ready. There are some parents I have among my class pupils. I know some of their parents I have as my friends on Facebook. And they are the reason why I even started this. At least if Mommy Soso can see it, Mommy Soso will see it. You see these parents who come on Facebook, upload their photograph. You see them updating their status, but they will never join the video. And when you ask them, say, I don't have that much money. How much is it? Just once in a week. I'm sure with 200 or 300 naira airtime, your child can participate in the class for just one. I take all the topics I was supposed to take for a week. I take it on one day for each class, and I give assignment. Can you imagine? Even when you give assignment, some parents will tell you, my son did the assignment, but I can't even help him to upload, but I make sure he did it. So how am I sure that the child did the assignment? When you do not even upload, you don't send it to me to assess. But you have some parents that are very, very dedicated. They will ensure their children do this assignment. They will send it to my inbox. I'll go through it, and they will send some corrections, some things that need to be corrected. They will do the correction and send it back. Those are parents that are responsible. So parents who have a role to play. When we talk about all this, we don't talk about the role of parents in this, then we've not really talked at all. So parents, community leaders, they have roles to play in this. It's not an issue to be left for the teachers and the government alone. All of us have to come out and play our own role to make sure that these children that will call our future leader, that will call the hope of tomorrow, are not left behind. So thank you so much. I'll have to put a stop here now and listen to others as we continue. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Adegeye. Thank you for educating us more, for telling us about this issue.
Mọ́mí Farida, wọ́n bá mi tàn náà. Tàn náà yẹn. We can't hear you. Hello? Hello? I can't hear you. Maybe I should start. Okay. Thank you for having me. Let me use this opportunity to greet our children that happy celebration. It's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate that we can't celebrate the children as we used to celebrate them. No school march past, all schools activities, has been disconnected as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Well, we give thanks to Almighty God because we are still alive. And I want to appreciate Mr. Abbas for organizing this kind of online seminar. And I'm very happy to be with Mr. Adeko and Mr. Soji, Mrs. Adegeye. I'm very happy to be with you on this program today. Now, as teacher, we just have to keep the students, engage the students during this COVID-19 pandemic. And the only way we can engage the students is through technology. And that is what we are doing. And that is what Mr. Abbas is doing today, using technology to celebrate the Children's Day. Very fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Thank you for the organization. Thank you so much. Now, let's quickly go to the topic. Effective remote learning approaches for children in vulnerable communities. The role of stakeholders. Stakeholders has a lot of things to do during this COVID-19 pandemic, and they had tried their best in reaching out the students using technology to carry out some of the activities that we normally carry out during a face-to-face classroom situation. We are using technology. We can use technology to carry out some of these classroom settings that we used to carry out. And that is what we are doing. Other guests have discussed, has defined what remote learning is. I don't want to go there. And I don't want to repeat what they have said. But let me quickly contribute to the topic. Now, we have a lot of approaches that we can use to take the student online. We have about 6 approaches. We can call them types of remote learning or e-learning. Now, we have face-to-face e-learning, and that is what we do during our real classroom situation, taking conventional teaching method alongside with e-learning or using technology. That is what we call blended e-learning, using the two, taking the student. This type of approach, I have been using it from in my school. I teach secondary school, Ishara Secondary School in Ogun State, Remo North Local Government. Before the pandemic, Ogun State Ministry of Education, in conjunction with TESCOM, announced that teachers should make use of technology to prepare their lesson notes, I think around 2016. Since then, I have been using technology alongside with conventional teaching method. And I've also carried out research on the effect of computer-assisted instruction, how it can be effective, during teaching. And the results show that using modern teaching techniques, teaching the students perform more than those students that were taught using conventional teaching method. That means that technology is the answer, even before the pandemic. Now the pandemic has come. Now that is why it is easy for me as a computer professional and as a teacher to see it from this angle that, okay, what would be my contribution? What will be my contribution as far as COVID-19 is concerned? And that is why I organize e-learning for our students. And what we are doing, we are, complementing the efforts of Ogun State government on Ogun Digit Class. Because what we are doing is whatever is being done from Ogun Digit Class, we bring it down to our e-learning class, to students to see. For those students that are not that not have access to OGTV, I mean the television or electricity. So that is what we are doing. And also, we are doing this to engage more students around Remo and around the world. Because when I see people donating palliative to people during this lockdown, I feel like, what will be my contribution? And that is why I organize this e-learning to our students using what we call asynchronous type of e-learning or approach, or synchronous type of e-learning or approach. And that is what we are doing. We're actually using WhatsApp to reach out to the students online. And I want to use this opportunity to appreciate all volunteer teachers. We are doing it for free, because we too are, teaching is a profession. Other sector, they are contributing their own quota to, like those in the health sector, treating COVID-19 patients free of charge. Like those in agricultural sector, supplying, providing food, to people. So we are actually doing this as our own palliative to students by engaging them through e-learning. Now, number 2 approach is the self-learning. E-learning without presence and without e-communication. And this method, this method cannot work, at secondary school or primary school level. This method can actually work in higher institution. Then we also have another approach, which is called asynchronous approach, and that is what we are doing. E-learning without the presence of the student, but with e-communication, by using video, by using image, by using text to, teach the student online. Then number 4, we also have a synchronous approach. This type of e-learning, can you hear me? This type of e-learning, synchronous approach, is what we call e-learning with visual. We have started using this type of e-learning because I said we are complementing the effort of Ogun Digit class. And Ogun Digit class use OGTV to engage the students using this method with video. So we at times we visit Ogun Digit website and download some video to present to our students online using WhatsApp. Number 5, we have a blended asynchronous approach. And the last one, we have the blended synchronous approach. So these are 6 approaches that can be used to engage or to teach the students online. Now, how can e-learning reach more children, especially in the rural area? Now, in the rural area, children can be engaged through blended e-learning after COVID-19. Other speakers have mentioned that the e-learning of a thing is not new. It has been in existence. It's only that we don't normally use it, in some school in Nigeria. So it is about using converting analog to digital, taking the student using digital, and that is what we can do. So after pandemic, we can use blended learning. Blended learning, it is using of both face-to-face approach and the asynchronous or synchronous approach to students. Now, before this approach or these approaches can be effective, the following people or stakeholders have a lot to do: the parents and the guardians, the children, I mean the students themselves, the teachers, the instructor, then the policymaker, I mean the government, then telecom service provider. Then teachers also need to collaborate, or what we call digital collaboration. Teachers can make use their phone to teach the students online. You know, our phone is not only meant for calling. It is a computer. It is a multi-purpose device with multi-purpose function. What we are doing here in Remo, we use our phone to type, to send our lesson to the student. The student will have access to this lesson. And student can also ask questions using the personal WhatsApp of the teacher to ask questions and to submit assignments given to them. This method we are using, we have covered about 1,000 students across Nigeria. Not only students in Remo, across Nigeria. Because we are taking GS3, we are also taking SS3 students because of the exam, WAEC and NECO. And because of Beckel, GS3, we call it GS3 WAEC. You know, that is why we really concerned about these two classes, GS3 and SS3. Now, parents must be ready to assist their children by giving them their phone to engage themselves on e-learning. And also, the children themselves must realize that COVID-19 has disconnected teaching and learning activities. You know, they must realize that, you know, the COVID-19 has disrupted everything, and therefore be ready to learn through technology. Then
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Odufeso. Thank you so much for letting us know about all your activities in Ogun State. We need to move on now. Let us move on to Mr. Adeko to give us some policy recommendations, particularly on the area of curriculum and teacher development. How can our teachers fit more into this e-learning and remote learning? Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. I believe many states, without any option anyway, they've started doing something. So we just need to sustain this, because at times we'll start something in Nigeria, then after a while we'll just drop it and go back to the way we've been acting out before maybe the pandemic and all that. Because I could remember during the Ebola period, we adopted the wash your hand approach in various schools. There were several bowls and what have you. But immediately we were able to pull through that Ebola crisis, we went back to our regular approach. So this time around, COVID-19 has really pushed us. I mean, governments, I mean, teachers, even parents, the school owners, everybody, the stakeholders in education. We are all looking at remote learning. We are all looking at leveraging on technology to enhance the teaching and learning. So because we're doing this now, I want this to continue even after COVID-19. I want this to continue post-COVID-19. I am aware that Lagos State is training all the teachers at the moment on remote learning approaches, on how to use different technology to enhance teaching and learning. They are doing that at the moment. In Ogun State also, we've been doing it, and we're doing it also again at the moment, training of our teachers. So teachers are at home now. So it's the right time for the policymakers, for the drivers of education in Nigeria to engage the teachers so that they can be trained while they are home now, rather than just stay at home doing nothing. We are at home now, we're free, so we can as well utilize this period to train ourselves so that we'll get used to leveraging of technology to do a whole lot of things. And during this period now, something we're doing in Ogun State, rather, at the moment is ensuring that we work with all teachers depending on the subject we teach to curate content. So content is another key thing, just like Mr. Soji said and other people. We need quality content. I've realized that if you give content to a teacher, it will help the teacher to even deliver a better lesson with good content. We need that teacher to be able to deliver better. So what we're doing now in Ogun State, what the government is doing that we are also supporting to ensure that we do the right thing, is to work with these teachers to curate content. So we have all the teachers in different platforms online. Depending on the subject they teach, you have mathematics teachers in a group working on content so that they will have worked on content, scheme of work week by week of everything that they need to do as soon as we head back to the classroom. So once COVID-19 is over and the lockdown is relaxed and students are back in school, teachers will just hit the ground running. They will have done necessary things during this period as regards content. So one policy is getting teachers content and resources. We want a situation whereby what is being taught here in Abeokuta is the same thing that is being taught in a school in Waterside, or is the same thing that is being taught in a school somewhere else in Nigeria, because they have necessary content. We don't want a situation whereby our teachers in a particular place will be making excuses because they do not have access to books, they do not have access to internet, they do not have access to regular content. So the teachers should work together now, curate content, and government should be able to back them up. Another thing is that I love the angle that Mr. Odufeso mentioned. I remember there was a time in 2016 that I was in all local governments of Ogun State. I spent 5 days in everywhere. I was even in Waterside. I was in Ilushin there. We're moving from one local government to another local government to train our teachers to ensure that they leverage on technology to teach. When we go back from the training, we have to approach the government that government, you need to enforce this thing so that teachers will not be doing this in the school, and what do we call them? The inspectors will come around and say, why are you doing this? This is not allowed. There has been a situation whereby inspectors have accused teachers of using technology in the class. They've accused teachers of putting their lesson notes on Word or using Excel to work on their lesson notes and on their broadsheet and what have you. I was alarmed that somebody could be against such a thing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeko. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeko. We really learned a lot from you. Let's move quickly now to Mr. Soji. Mr. Soji, please concentrate more on the telecom service providers. What should be our suggestions and recommendations for the telecom service providers?
Thank you, Mr. Kabiru. Thank you, Mr. Kabiru. And permit me to share the screen. I don't know if you can see my screen. And the reality of the moment is making internet available. Accessibility is critical. Internet is life, and data is also life. So this is the best time. We're calling on our telecoms, on our telecom companies, on the telcos, the internet service provider, to come to the aid of the vulnerables, even the able Nigerians, so that we can have access, so that we can all have access to internet. Community Wi-Fi is now the next call. We must ensure that the telecom companies position affordable, efficient, and unlimited internet access in different communities that we have in Nigeria. This is the best time to do that. The best time to make data cheap. The best time to have a different platform data for learning, so that students can have access to learning, so that the students can easily, they don't need to bother about how much data is being sold. This is the best time to have working community Wi-Fi. This is the best time. We're calling on all our telco companies to come to our aid, ensuring that we have access to internet, ensuring that internet is affordable for both the poor and the rich. Nigeria is not a different country in this world. It's not a different country. We can make it work if truly we are ready to truly, activate the change. And the best time to activate the change is now. We're calling on our telecom companies. We're calling on all the internet service providers to make internet affordable for everybody, to make it available, and to make it efficient. This is the best, because now so they go on a Zoom classroom, they go on video classroom. This services, this platform consume more data, and we're calling on our telecom companies to make this thing available, accessible not just to the city, to the rural communities. We have rural communities that don't have an available internet, that don't have an available network. This is the best time to invest, to make this thing available to them. Where they don't have available internet service mask at the moment, they can initiate what I call community Wi-Fi, bringing their network, a very small remote network, into that kind of community, so that it can provide access to the student and make them learn at the same time. I think this is the best, and thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Soji. This is really one of the recommendations that we need to take home from this conference. We want to appeal to our National Communication Commission, our Ministry of Communication, and the NILDA, for them to help us talk to our telecom providers in Nigeria. We also want to appeal to them, MTN, Glo, Airtel, and all other service providers, to please come to our aid. We have seen what is happening in Kenya. In fact, in Kenya, they have what they call a free cloud Wi-Fi, where students can have access to internet connectivity and do more of remote learning. We hope that our governments will talk more to our telecom providers so that they can help us. We need this to happen. So let me go to Madam Adegeye. Now let's look particularly into our SUBEB and the other policymakers at the level of state SUBEB. What and what should they be doing? What and what should they be thinking of to make sure that more students will have access to these remote learning opportunities?
Thank you so much, sir. I said earlier, SUBEB has been, there are so many programs on ground. We have the radio programs, we have the television programs, but I think there's need for more. There's need for the necessity of publication to make these things known, because some people are not even aware of some of those programs that are going on. So there's need for publicity to let people know about these programs, the radio programs, the television program going on. I also talk about the issue of a situation where, if possible, they can make a DVD available, this CD, this ask us to provide their lessons on CD and distribute to children to play at home at their own convenient time. We can also have a situation where government can sensitize the public and the teachers, make a scheme of work available. Though I told someone when someone talked to me that he would have loved to do the same thing I'm doing, but he doesn't have access to scheme of work. I made the person realize that you can always download the scheme of work online. So teachers also can download the scheme of work online and then use it to teach people around them, that the few pupils around them that they can have access to. So government needs to think of another way of getting closer to those that might not have access to television and the like. But I'm sure of that radio program is still the best way for now, because I think when you see a community where there's no radio device to listen to. So in all states, Lagos or other states of Nigeria should be more proactive. And in terms of teacher training, though Lagos State has started something before the COVID-19, even before we knew that something was coming up called COVID-19, they started training their teachers and the use of technology. Presently, I can tell you that 70 or 60% of Lagos teachers are now no longer writing lesson notes. We now have our lesson notes in Excel. A device is given to all the teachers where all the lesson notes and everything is prepared for us to use. So the second batch were to be trained in April before the pandemic started. So they have not completed the training, but I'm sure after the pandemic, the training will continue and all.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Adegeye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Adegeye.
Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now let's quickly move to Mr. Odufeso. Mr. Odufeso, we want you to concentrate your policy recommendations to colleges of education and faculties of education. How should they improve their curriculum and their activities to ensure that more teachers will learn ICT and be able to participate more in remote learning and e-learning activities? So how should College of Education and faculties of education improve the teaching of ICT, remote learning techniques, and e-learning techniques?
Let me give you an example. Like Taishola University of Education, there is a course that you must offer as a student of the university before the pandemic. We call it VOS. You know, at my own first degree, I did economics, but we were asked to take any vocational training, vocational course, which I took computer. And I got a lot of experiences, on this course, because it gives me the power, the knowledge to establish, a computer institute because of this knowledge I gained from the university before the pandemic. So I believe other institutions can also do the same thing by making technology as a compulsory course to all students, as a general course to all students. They have to take practical, they have to take theory, because we never can tell, we don't pray for any other pandemic. So the institution must include how to use technology in teaching in primary school and secondary schools. They must teach all the students in higher institution, because especially in the College of Education or any University of Education. Now, let me quickly recommend this. Please, Mr. Deko, you can take notes, because from Ogun Digit class, some students were unable to download some file on Ogun Digit class website because of the large, the large volume of of the video. They can use what we call Loom to present the lesson within 10 to 5 minutes and let it be on the Ogun Digit class website, so that we can have access to download. We, teacher that is helping the students now can also download the video and extend it to the class that we are taking, online here. So this is how we can engage the student. Even the student can download it and have it on their phone. So please, this thing has to be done. We need it, very urgent, because we want to. We have been following the Ogun Digit class timetable and the topics and subjects. So let them use.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Odufeso.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now we would be concluding. On a concluding remarks, I want Mr. Adeko to conclude and give some policy recommendations to school authorities, school owners, particularly private school owners, and the public school principals and head teachers. What is your recommendations and suggestions to them on how to promote e-learning and remote learning? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll probably start from where Mr. Odufeso said, where he stopped, rather. So the project he mentioned will not just end during COVID-19. So what we have planned is to get all these videos that have been created offline this time around to all schools in Ogun State, so that every school can have access to this content. So it's not just going to end on TV or on the website. We will ensure that all schools in Ogun State will have access to this content, so that students in different schools, probably you put it in your library or you put it in somewhere in the school, everybody can have access to it. So going forward, I'll probably want to draw more on post-COVID-19, because we know gradually we are trying to ease the lockdown and people are getting back to their lives. So going forward, we should adopt what has been said earlier on during this call by, I think, Mr. Odufeso, blended learning. So schools can adopt what we call blended learning, meaning the normal face-to-face traditional teaching in school, and at the same time, let all schools have a semblance of a remote learning, an online platform that students can continue the learning even after leaving the four walls of the classroom, so that we get used to this. The student will be in the school in the morning, take lessons from the teacher. After school, there should still be a platform for that student to continue to engage with the teacher, or the student continue to engage with themselves. So going forward, we should adopt blended learning. And then all schools, principals, school owners, and what have you, should look at trying a way of engaging their students, a way of trying to introduce technology to whatever they do. I'm not saying they should go and spend millions or billions of nairas on technology. We can start from somewhere, because that is the future. We cannot deprive these kids of having access to the gadget that they are still going to interact with in the future, because the future workplace is going to be driven by technology. So we need our students to be used to all those things going forward. So schools should invest heavily into technology and should ensure that the platform is created for remote learning. So God forbid, if we
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeko. Let's move quickly to concluding remarks from Mr. Soji. Mr. Soji, what will be your concluding remarks, particularly to private school owners? Private school owners, what's your concluding remarks to them?
Thank you, Mr. Bass, and I must appreciate you for this privilege you're giving to me. My call to the private school then, both those, the high flying and the local school, is that this is our best time, the best time for us to really prove that we are here to solve a problem of out of school children, and not that we are just here to make money out of the business of school projects. This is the best time for us to rise, because according to the word of Macron, he said education is a passport to the future, for our tomorrow belongs to people who prepared for it today. So you must help these children, you must help the parents, and you must help the society in ensuring that learning continue even though the lockdown, we are still experiencing lockdown at the moment. And to parents there, I want to also, crave your indulgence to also inform you that though teacher can open the door, but we are also calling on you that it requires your own effort to hold your own case by hands so that you both can enter into the door yourself. Thank you very much for joining this conversation.
Okay, let me move to Mrs. Adegeye now. Mrs. Adegeye, let's hear your concluding remarks, but please concentrate on your policy recommendations for NGOs, either local NGOs or international NGOs. What's your policy recommendations for them?
Thank you so much, sir. Well, for the NGOs, I will recommend that they'll take the training of teachers seriously. There are some NGOs in Lagos that are doing that. Some teachers are not technologically inclined, especially in public school. They don't even know how to handle technologies and the likes. So if you have some NGOs that can take this upon themselves to train teachers, it could be free, it could be with a token that will not be too much for them, so that they'll be able to afford it. Let them train teachers on how to handle technology. We shouldn't be waiting for when things happen like this to start running here and there to be able to use this. If all teachers are technologically inclined, I think many of them will contribute more to the situation and that. And then after the COVID-19, life still goes on. These children need to know how to handle technology, they need to be able to learn using the technology. We can't just continue using traditional classroom teaching and learning process alone. Countries are all over the world are improving, they are doing great things. So we should look towards that, and all NGOs too should help us to look towards. And for those that have been doing it already, because I'm privileged to attend some NGOs training, I give it to them and I say they should just continue the good work. And like your own NGOs do the good work they are doing, just continue. God bless you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Adegeye. Now, let's move to Mr. Odufeso. Mr. Odufeso, let's look a bit into research and also for your concluding remarks. There's a question here. Does a blended approach make children learn better? Does a blended approach make children learn better? So please, your concluding remark.
The answer to this question is yes. We can make use blended approach of e-learning. I've said it earlier, after COVID-19, because there's no way now we are going to see the students face to face and be taking them blended approach. I said after COVID-19, government must make it compulsory that blended approach, we should make use of blended approach in taking the students. During this pandemic, let's continue using asynchronous approach and synchronous approach of e-learning. It's good. It's good. So after the pandemic, students will learn. Let me tell you, students will see it as a new way of learning, because the conventional teaching method, I've seen conventional teaching method as ineffective. We should find another means of engaging the student using technology. Now, to my closing remark, let me use this opportunity to appreciate Mr. Abbas, because you are doing a great job. You are doing a great job to the nation, to the world, to Ogun State, and to my local government, which is Ogun Waterside. You organize e-learning class for our students from GS1 to SS3. Kudos to you, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir. And let me quickly appreciate the Ogun State government for organizing Ogun Digit class through the Ministry of Education, especially to Special Advisor on Education, on primary and secondary education, Mrs. Ronke Shoyombo, for putting technologies together to engage our students during this COVID-19 pandemic. By doing this, the student will never forget this woman and this great job that Ogun Digit class, what Ogun State are doing. We'll never forget them, because we have said it earlier. We are, complementing the efforts of what we are doing in Remo. People should not see it as a way of distraction. What you are doing, Mr. Abbas, in Ogun Waterside, government should not see it, or any other person should not see it as distraction. No, we are following what the Ogun State, Ogun Digit class are doing in Abeokuta, following their timetable, following their content, their subjects, breaking it down to the people in vulnerable communities. Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Okay, it's been an interesting 1.5 hours. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Tajuddin Odufeso. Mr. Tajuddin Odufeso is a researcher, is a PhD student working on education evaluation. Mr. Adeko, thank you so much for the excellent work you are doing with the Temprime Hub. And also, we are aware that you are one of the people that put together the Ogun Digit class. Everywhere we are listening to Ogun Digit class. I've told a lot of teachers in Ogun State, in Abuja, in Borno, in Yobe, in the north, in the east, everywhere for them to tune into DSTV 260 to listen to you. We also want to use the opportunity to appreciate the effort of Ogun State government for supporting the radio program and Ogun Digit class. We also want to appreciate Lagos State government. Lagos State government is also doing a marvelous work through their collaboration with the Wasobia TV. They are also doing their own program on both TV and radio. We also want to thank other governors, particularly my governor, our governor from Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, for also through the partnership with Plan and Save the Children for initiating the radio learning program for our students in Borno State. And all other governors that are doing these activities, we want to appreciate your effort. We want to appreciate Initiative for Education and Development for your untiring efforts, for your reaching the IDP camps in Borno, for reaching the Ogun Waterside local governments, for reaching slum communities in Abuja, all other NGOs, multilateral and bilateral organizations. You said with your Northern Education Initiative, with the Makaranta program, DFID program, EU supported program, World Bank supported program, all other programs that are supporting this, However, what we are saying is this: there are still many more supports needed by children in vulnerable communities. Some of these our resources should be targeted and particularly budgeted for children in vulnerable communities to access remote learning activities. All the recommendations have come from our panelists. Mrs. Adegeye dealt a lot on the policy recommendation for parents. As parents, we need to do more. Those devices that you are using, leave one for your kid. Let them use it. If other parents that have other devices, either laptops or telephone, our brother in Lagos, Mr. Soji, wants to support more children in remote communities. So that organization, Third Hub in Lagos, needs more devices. Please let us support them. We've also had a lot of recommendations for our teachers. Our colleges of education and faculty of education need to do more around digital literacy and digital education. We are aware about the challenges for literacy in our country, and this is why World Bank has come up with the concept of learning poverty. That in our country, we have a lot of children that are learning poor. Ability of children within the age range of 10 years to be able to read and comprehend simple story is another issue that we need to dwell more on. How can we use technology for this? So we need to do more around that. So our government and our policy makers, our National Assembly, our state assemblies, you need to come to our aid. The Department for Education committees at the national and state assemblies, please help us talk to our executive to put more resources into remote learning, e-learning, and education activities, particularly training our teachers for them to be able to support our children. For our telecom providers, the MTNs, the Celtels, the Glows, and all the other telecom service providers, please, we are appealing to you to do more of what Soji called community Wi-Fi. Help us institute a community Wi-Fi so that our children will have access to internet and also be able to learn more remotely at this time. Lastly, it is worthy of note that our school owners, private school owners, and public school authorities, the time has come to continue remote learning. The time has come to continue e-learning. The time has come to continue online learning. And as Olalekan Adeako put it, that we should stay with blended learning approach. Schools should continue to do more of physical learning and also remote learning. As we prepare our school reopening strategy, let us have this into consideration. Let's put it in consideration that blended learning approach will be a way to go. And also, as Odufesa put it, that blended approach makes students learn better. If we start physical one-on-one at school, we can then continue the online or the remote approach when our children get home. I want to thank everybody, particularly the program manager of Initiative for Education and Development, Mrs. Ajumbi. Thank you for coordinating this program. Thank you for our technical manager, the man behind all the technical issues here, Engineer Isiaka Ajino. Thank you so much. And all the board of trustees of Initiative for Education and Development, Mrs. Catherine Olauton, the chairperson, board of trustees, Initiative for Education and Development, Barrister Olauton, Member Board of Trustee, Initiative for Education and Development, Mrs. Temitope Abbas, Member Board of Trustee, Initiative for Education and Development, for your untiring support, for funding this program, for all staffs of Initiative for Education and Development, all our instructors in Ogun Waterside, all our instructors in Ogun State, all our instructors in Abuja, all our instructors in Borno State. Thank you so much. God will continue to reward you and God will bless the labor of our hand. To all our students, all the students we are supporting directly in Borno, all the students we are supporting directly in Abuja, all the students we are supporting directly in Ogun State, thank you for participating in this program. We hope that you will be a good ambassador of this program. And we hope that with you, we can reach more states. To all our colleagues in all the other states, in Benue State, in Adamawa State, in Kaduna State, particularly our friend Doris Sakama, Mrs. Agu from Benue State, Sunen Atsuwe from Benue State. Thank you, everyone. We also need to thank Facebook. Facebook, thank you so much for letting us use your platform today to reach all homes around the world. And we hope that we have really learned a lot. We have learned recommendations for parents, for teachers, for colleges of education, for universities of education, for colleges of education, for our parents, for our policymakers, for telecom service provider. Blended learning approach has come to stay. Let us imbibe it. Our students, please start learning computer, digital education. Digital literacy is now very important and compulsory for all of us. Until I come your way again, I remain your friend, the initiator of online learning program and also the initiator of Read a Book Aloud with Me. I give Tirigbosa to our Lagos State Governor for what you did today and the Commissioner for Education of Lagos State for launching your virtual Read Aloud today. I hope that other governors, our governor in Ogun State, our governor in Borno, our governor in Kaduna, our governor in Benue, our governor in Osun, we hope that all of you are going to launch virtual Read Aloud. Reading aloud is a foundational and a fundamental skill that every student needs to have. So please, let us support Read Aloud again program. I'm going to come your way again on Saturday to talk about Read Aloud a Book with Me on the ID Twitter and also at Ola Abbas Twitter page. Please join me and be part of this. For all our supporters, I remember the contribution of Ford Foundation, Ford International Fellowship, US. Thank you also for building me to this level and also for supporting Initiative for Education and Development. Until we come your way again with our panel members and the technical crews, Board of Trustees of ID, and all the management staff of ID, we really want to thank everybody for listening today. Thank you so much. Until we come your way again, blended learning approach has come to stay in Nigeria and around the world. Thank you so much and have a nice evening. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for your participation. Thank you. We are grateful. Thank you so much. Bye.